Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. So the AI world, it's been absolutely crazy lately, right? Especially this past week, like March 14th to the 23rd, 2025. I mean, seriously, so much new stuff, it's almost impossible to keep up with it all.
Yeah, it really feels like drinking from a fire hose sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. And that's exactly why we do this. We go through all of it, like all the news, the research, and try to boil it down to the really important stuff. You know, the stuff that will actually make you go, oh, wow, that's interesting. So basically, we want to save you time and make sure you know what's really going on in AI without getting overwhelmed.
Right, consider this like your super concentrated AI update. Like, we've handpicked the biggest developments of the week, the things that are really moving the needle. And this week, there are three main areas we're diving into. First, we'll look at the really cool breakthroughs happening in AI research.
Then we'll check out all the big moves and announcements coming from the tech industry, you know, the companies that are driving a lot of this innovation.
And lastly, we'll explore some of the brand new AI tools and product updates that honestly could be changing how we use tech in our daily lives.
And trust me, there's some really mind-blowing stuff this week. Like, we're talking robots learning superhuman skills, the biggest tech companies pouring tons of money into AI, and tools that could change how we interact with technology every day. So, are you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the breakthroughs in research. What really stood out to you?
Well, I think what's really fascinating right now is this clear trend towards AI that goes beyond just like crunching numbers. We're seeing it genuinely understand things, reason and actually interact with the real world in a way we haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's huge. And robotics is where we're seeing some of the most dramatic examples.
For sure. So Google DeepMind, they just revealed Gemini Robotics. And these are basically new AI models that are designed to let robots understand and work with the physical world around them. Like, I was watching their demos, and seriously, it's kind of wild. They have this robot arm that can fold origami, like, perfectly.
No way.
Yeah. And then there's another one that can take a pair of glasses and put them in their case. And it does all this just from a voice command. Like, you just tell it what to do, and it figures it out. And the crazy part, these weren't tasks they were specifically programmed to do.
So they were, like, improvising? That's incredible.
It's more like they can generalize their skills. The core idea behind Gemini Robotics seems to be this combination of being able to see, understand language, and then turn that understanding into physical actions. And that ability to generalize is a huge step forward. Instead of just following a set of instructions, these robots are showing that they can adapt to new situations. And what's really great for the research community, DeepMind has made Gemini Robotics ER available for other researchers to work with. Making it open source like that usually speeds up innovation quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like everyone gets to learn from each other and build on what's already been done. Which reminds me of another cool robotics project. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh, they've developed this AI robot arm that can make coffee. Yeah, and not just in some controlled lab environment. This thing can make coffee in a real messy kitchen. Like, imagine a kitchen with drawers full of random stuff and people moving around. The robot has to find what it needs, deal with things being moved around, and still make the coffee. It's pretty impressive.
That is really impressive. I mean, getting a robot to do something in a perfectly controlled environment is one thing, but navigating the chaos of a real kitchen is a whole other level. It needs really sensitive sensors to know what's around, super precise motor skills to handle the objects, and the AI smarts to reason about the environment and adapt when things change. That's not easy.
Right. And it's not just about the technical achievement. The lead researcher, Rory Mon-Williams, said, and this is a direct quote, "We are glimpsing a future where robots with increasingly advanced intelligence become commonplace." Like, it's a real sign of what's coming.
It's like a little sneak peek into the future. And it also highlights just how important it is for robots to have that combo, thinking, moving, and being able to perceive their surroundings all working together smoothly.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got robots becoming physically way more skilled, showing signs of real understanding. But what about just the raw AI, the thinking and the efficiency? What's happening there?
Well, you might have heard about OpenAI's next big thing, sometimes called Orion or GPT 4.5, and everyone's buzzing about it because it seems to be a massive leap forward in AI reasoning. Like, the word on the street is that it can actually solve problems step by step. The way a human would think through a complex task.
So, it can actually write code, do in-depth data analysis, handle creative writing prompts, all that stuff. But with more of a human-like thought process, that sounds like it could completely change how we work and even create new things.
Totally. Think about the impact on something like medical diagnostics, where an AI could analyze a patient's history, their symptoms, and actually figure out a diagnosis on its own. Or in education, it could create custom learning plans for each student, adjusting the teaching style in real time. Right now, it's only available to developers who spend a certain amount on their API usage.
Okay, so it's kind of exclusive right now.
Yeah, but Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has hinted that it will be more widely available soon.
Well, that's something a lot of people are going to be watching for. But Google DeepMind, they also had some big news in this area with Gemma 3, right?
That's right. Gemma 3 is the latest version of their Gemma models, and what's really impressive is how efficient it is. It can run on just a single GPU, a graphics processing unit, which is the kind of processor that's really good at the heavy lifting AI needs.
And so this means that instead of needing those huge data centers, we could have really powerful AI on regular computers, even laptops.
Potentially, yes. And that's exactly what DeepMind seems to be aiming for. Demis Hassabis, their CEO, he's talked about wanting to give developers powerful AI tools that are more accessible. Think about the possibilities, from really sophisticated features in the apps on our phones, like for managing your finances, to much more powerful tools for creative stuff, like photo and video editing.
That would be a game changer, making advanced AI available to pretty much anyone.
Hmm.
And then we have Anthropic with their Claude 3.7 Sonnet model. What's special about that one?
So they're calling Claude 3.7 Sonnet a hybrid reasoning model. And what's interesting is that it can adjust how deeply it thinks about a problem depending on what you're asking it to do.
That sounds really smart, like it's not wasting energy overthinking simple stuff.
Exactly. So for things that need deep analysis, like reading complicated legal documents or doing scientific research, it can really focus its power. But for simpler things, it stays quick and efficient. It's available now to all Claude users, and they have a pro plan for those who need to use it a lot. And by the way, Anthropic just got a ton of funding, which means people are really betting on their technology.
It really seems like every company is pushing the limits of what AI can do. But how do we even know if these models are any good?
Yeah.
Especially in something as important as healthcare.
You're right, that's super important. And actually, there was a study from Stanford's HAI, their Human-Centered AI Institute, that looked into this. They found that while a lot of these AI models can pass medical exams, that doesn't mean they're ready for the real world of being a doctor.
Makes sense, like passing a test is one thing, but dealing with real patients is a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. And the study pointed out a big problem. Most of the evaluations don't use data from real patients. Like only 5% of the evaluations they looked at used real patient data. So we need much better ways to test these AIs in real-world situations, especially when people's health is at stake.
It's a good reality check, like, are we pushing this tech too fast without proper testing? Okay, let's move on to a different area. AI is doing some really interesting things in biology too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's this new AI tool called Evo2, and it was developed by a bunch of different institutions, including some folks from Stanford HAI. What Evo2 can do is predict the shape and function of proteins just by looking at DNA.
Wait, so it can figure out what a protein does just by looking at its code?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's a big deal because figuring out what proteins do is normally a really slow and expensive process. Like it can take years. But Evo2 can potentially do it in minutes. And get this, they trained it on a data set that includes every known living species.
That's mind-blowing.
And to make it even better, it's open source, which means anyone can use it. This could really speed up research in bioengineering and medicine.
That's fantastic news. And speaking of recognizing great work in AI, I was really happy to see Richard Sutton and Andrew Bardo win the Turing Award this year.
Yeah, absolutely. They really deserve it. Their work in reinforcement learning has been foundational. Like that's the kind of trial and error learning that's behind so many of the AI breakthroughs we see today, from games to self-driving cars. It just goes to show how important that kind of fundamental research is for pushing the field forward.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered some of the cool stuff happening in research. Now let's move on to the big announcements coming from the industry. And I think NVIDIA's GTC conference was the big one this week, right?
Oh, for sure. NVIDIA's GTC 2025 was like the main event. Jensen Huang, their CEO, made a bunch of announcements that could really shake things up in the AI world.
Yeah, he talked about this new Vera Rubin AI superchip, right? Sounds like a pretty big deal in terms of hardware.
It is. And beyond the chip itself, Huang shared some pretty bold predictions about the future of AI. He basically said that the demand for advanced AI, especially for those independent AI agents we were talking about earlier, is exploding way faster than anyone expected. Like, he said they need easily 100 times more computing power than they thought they would just a year ago.
Wow, that's crazy. So how are they going to handle all that?
Well, their plan is to make their next generation of chips even more powerful. And they think their data center business will be making close to $1 trillion by 2028. So yeah, they're expecting huge growth in AI.
That's a staggering number. And it's not just talk either. General Motors just announced they're using NVIDIA's chips in their self-driving cars.
Yeah, that's a massive win for NVIDIA and really cements their partnership with the automotive industry. But on top of the Vera Rubin, NVIDIA also laid out their plans for a whole bunch of future processors, like the Blackwell Ultra, and even further out, the Rubin and Feynman series.
It's like they always thinking 5 steps ahead. Anything else from GTC that caught your attention?
Oh yeah, a few things. They introduced NVIDIA Dynamo, which is an open source system for managing AI inference. Basically, that means taking a trained AI model and using it to make predictions on new data. So Dynamo helps scale that whole process up. They also showed off their new desktop AI supercomputers called DGX Spark and DGX Station. These things bring a ton of computing power right to your desk. And for the robot fans out there, they demonstrated a humanoid robot called Blue.
A humanoid robot? That sounds cool.
It was a collaboration with Disney Research and Google DeepMind, kind of showing off how far AI and robotics have come. They also announced new energy-saving networking stuff to make data centers more efficient, and they even had their first ever Quantum Day, where they talked about their plans for quantum computing and how it could be used with AI.
Wow, so NVIDIA is really going all in on AI and its future. Sounds like GTC was the place to be if you wanted to know what's next in AI hardware. But moving on from NVIDIA, what other big announcements did you see this week?
Well, Ford announced that they're using AI models from a bunch of places, including OpenAI and Google, and of course NVIDIA GPUs, to make their car design process way faster. They're using AI to turn sketches into 3D models and run simulations, which apparently saves them weeks of work.
That's going to be a big deal for the car industry. Imagine getting new models out way faster. What about in the world of business software? What's happening there?
ServiceNow made a big move this week, buying an AI support startup called MoveWorks for a whopping $2.85 billion.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
It is. And it shows how serious ServiceNow is about putting AI right into their core products. They want to compete with Microsoft and others in this growing market for AI-powered business tools.
It's like AI is no longer just a bonus feature. It's becoming the foundation of everything. And we can't forget about the big players in Asia. They're making some serious investments in AI too.
Oh, absolutely. Tencent and Alibaba in China, they're putting huge amounts of money into AI. Like, Tencent tripled their AI spending last year, hitting over $10 billion. And Alibaba committed a mind-blowing $52 billion over the next 3 years for their cloud and AI infrastructure.
Those are some serious numbers. What's driving those huge investments?
It seems like there's a global understanding that to stay competitive in the future, you need to invest heavily in AI now. And it's not just about the money. Meta launched their AI assistant in Europe across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. It's a bit more limited there because of GDPR, but it's still a major step. They're also testing AI-generated comments for Instagram.
AI-generated comments, that's interesting.
Yeah, and they're even working on their own AI chip. They want to be less dependent on NVIDIA and optimize hardware specifically for their needs, like content moderation and AR navigation.
Smart move for a company their size.
Wow.
Speaking of AI agents, what are some of the other companies doing in that space?
Well, Cloudflare just launched Cloudy, their first AI agent. It works with their security products, automating tasks like checking security rules and summarizing configurations. It's all about making security management easier.
That's a big help for anyone managing security, especially with how complex it's becoming.
And in China, they've got this thing called Manus, which is supposedly a completely autonomous AI agent. Like, it can operate across tons of different applications without any human input.
That's a big step towards AI that can truly work on its own. We've also been hearing more about DeepSeek recently. They seem to be making waves in the AI world.
DeepSeek is a Chinese AI lab that's been gaining a lot of attention. Their R1 model, which they released earlier this year, has put them right at the forefront of AI research. And get this, their iPhone app was actually more popular than ChatGPT for a short time earlier this year, showing just how much they're breaking into the mainstream.
That's impressive for a company that's still relatively new. It's clear that the AI scene is changing fast, with new players emerging all the time. And we're even seeing some familiar faces coming back to tech, like Larry Page.
Yeah, Larry Page, the Google co-founder, started a new AI company called Dynatomics. They're all about using AI to revolutionize manufacturing. They want to use AI to make factories more efficient and innovative.
It's great to see him back in the game. And of course, we can't talk about AI without mentioning Elon Musk and his ventures. There's been some buzz around his Grok chatbot, hasn't there?
Yeah, Grok caused a bit of a stir recently when it claimed that Donald Trump is a Putin-compromised asset, which understandably sparked a conversation about bias in AI. But on the tech side, they just launched Grok 3, which they say is much more advanced than the previous versions. It has a lot more processing power and, interestingly, can access real-time data from Twitter, or X as it's now called.
So it's not just working with static data sets anymore, it has a live feed of information. That's pretty powerful. How about Microsoft? They always have a lot going on in the AI world.
Microsoft is definitely all over AI. They're investing in renewable energy to power their data centers, which are getting slammed with the demands of AI processing. They also have this research project to figure out where the data used to train AI models actually comes from, which is important for intellectual property rights. They announced new Azure servers powered by NVIDIA's Blackwell Ultra GPUs, and they're putting AI features everywhere, like their Dragon Copilot for doctors to reduce paperwork and AI in their mobile apps. They even had this funny bug where Copilot got accidentally removed from Windows for a bit.
It sounds like they're trying to integrate AI into every single product they have. What about Adobe and Salesforce? What are they doing with AI?
Adobe showed off their Agent Orchestrator at their summit this year. It's basically a group of 10 AI agents that work together to help with content creation and marketing analysis. They're also improving their Firefly AI platform, adding video editing and translation features. Salesforce announced Agentforce 2DX, which comes out in April. It's all about automating office tasks using AI, all through Slack.
So it's like AI is not just about creating stuff anymore. It's moving into managing and automating tasks in the workplace.
And what's AWS, Amazon Web Services, doing to keep up?
AWS is taking on OpenAI and Microsoft head-on with their new tools that let different AI agents work together. It's on their Bedrock platform, and they're calling it multi-agent collaboration. Basically, these AI agents can talk to each other, compare solutions, and improve their results. They also launched new agentic AI features for Bedrock, announced some faster AI models, and expanded support for their Trainium 2 AI chips. And they even made Meta's Llama 3.3 model available on their platform. At their Pi Day event, they talked about how important it is to have a solid data foundation for all this AI stuff. Plus, they created a whole new team focused on building agentic AI.
It seems like the big cloud platforms are where the real AI action is happening right now. And lastly, we have Perplexity AI, which has been making headlines. Perplexity is reportedly trying to raise a ton of money, like a valuation of $18 billion. They also launched Comet, an AI browser that analyzes info from all over the internet. But they've also had some trouble with accusations of plagiarism, which led them to partner with some publishers. Still, they're going for big growth, and they're even working with Texas A&M University to figure out how to use AI in education.
Wow, so a lot happening with them, both good and bad. Okay, so that covers the big industry news. Let's zoom in on some of the actual AI tools and products that have been released.
All right, so we've touched on some of these, but let's get specific. OpenAI, they're not just working on those big models, they also released a new set of tools for developers to build better AI assistants. It's their new APIs and an agents SDK. Basically, they want to help developers create AI agents that are both useful and reliable and that can handle complex tasks on their own. We're talking about things like searching the web, managing files, and even setting up appointments.
So it sounds like we could be seeing a whole wave of much smarter personal AI assistants soon.
That's the idea. And they're also pushing forward with their speech-to-text and text-to-speech models, making them even more advanced. They're planning to make them even better, adding things like custom voices and video integration.
So it's not just about text anymore. They're adding audio and even video to the mix. That's pretty exciting. But it seems like Apple might be having some trouble with their AI plans for Siri.
There have been reports that Apple had to put some of their big upgrades for Siri on hold. They were going to add on-screen context awareness and better integration with other apps, but they ran into some technical problems.
That's a bit of a surprise, considering how much other companies are pushing AI features in their products. Could this hurt Apple?
Some people think it might. You know, people want the latest and greatest AI features, and if Apple falls behind, they might switch to other phones or devices. It just shows how hard it is to turn these cutting-edge AI ideas into real products that work perfectly.
For sure. Now, what about Google? They always have a ton of new stuff going on, especially with search and their health features.
Yeah, Google's using AI to make their search results for health topics way better. Like, they're incorporating personal stories and insights from people who've experienced similar conditions. Their new Pixel Watch 3 will have an AI-powered loss of pulse detector. It's FDA approved and can automatically call for help if it thinks your heart has stopped. That's a really cool use of AI to potentially save lives. And we've already talked about Gemma 3, but it's worth mentioning again how much better it is at math, conversations, and understanding longer pieces of text. Plus, it can work with images and videos. They also released Teak's Gemma for drug discovery and Capricorn for personalized cancer treatment. And they're getting rid of Google Assistant on Android and replacing it with Gemini, their new AI platform. They're also adding Canvas, a new collaboration tool that uses Gemini, and they announced an AI-powered scam detector for Android.
Wow, that's a lot. Google's putting AI in everything.
Yeah.
What about the other companies we talked about earlier? What are they releasing?
ServiceNow, besides buying MoveWorks, also released StarVector, which is an AI model that can make vector graphics from text and pictures, and they made it open source. Anthropic added real-time web search to Claude so it can pull in live data from all over the internet. xAI launched Grok 3 with better reasoning abilities and a new deep search feature for more complex searches. Luma AI came out with a new technique called inductive moment matching for faster and cheaper AI image generation. Microsoft is making their AI coding assistants even better and adding AI to their business apps. And Synthesia is making their AI video avatars more and more realistic.
It's mind-blowing how many new AI tools and features are coming out every week. Looking at all this, it's clear that AI is going to have a huge impact on our lives, from how we take care of our health to how we work and even how we express ourselves creatively. And with companies like NVIDIA making huge investments in building the infrastructure to support all this, it's clear that AI is only going to become more powerful and more integrated into our lives.
And that brings up an important question for you, our listener. As AI shifts from being just a tool to more of a partner, even an independent agent in some cases, how will our ideas about work, creativity, and trust change? What role do you see yourself playing in this rapidly changing world of AI? It's something to think about as this technology keeps advancing.
That's a great point. It's not just about the technology itself, but about how it changes our relationship with the world. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us for another deep dive into the world of AI. We hope you found this insightful and helpful in understanding the latest developments and their potential impact.
We really encourage you to dig deeper into some of the companies and technologies we discussed. Your curiosity and thoughtfulness are so important as we navigate this evolving field together.
If you have any thoughts or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Staying informed in this fast-moving space is crucial, and the Deep Dive is here to help you do just that. Join us next time as we explore another fascinating topic that's shaping our world.